Coming up on Jerusalem Dateline, wrapping it up, IDF plans underway to take control of Gaza and eliminate Hamas. Plus, rewriting history, the NEA inserts an anti-Semitic narrative throughout the curriculum used by American school children. And prophecy fulfilled, two brothers cultivating the promised land in the Judean desert and living side by side in harmony, a vibrant Jewish village in a Muslim-majority country. All this and more coming up on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. Prime Minister Netanyahu's cabinet is taking steps to take over the Gaza Strip. The plan, approved Thursday night, is aimed at destroying what remains of Hamas and pressuring it to free the 50 hostages it's still holding. The IDF warns this could put the lives of Israeli hostages still in captivity at risk. CBN's Paul Petit brings us the latest.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu explained Israel's goals for the new action.
We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas.
The phase plan includes disarming Hamas, returning all hostages, demilitarizing the Gaza Strip, Israeli security control in Gaza, and creating a civilian government that is neither Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority. Netanyahu telling Fox News Israel doesn't want to be in charge of Gaza.
We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life. That's not possible with Hamas.
Netanyahu says Israel and the U.S. agree on certain principles for a post-Hamas Gaza, including non-Israeli civil control. President Trump says he will collaborate with Israel to run additional food distribution centers.
That's what I'm focused on. As far as the rest of it, I really can't say. That's going to be pretty much up to Israel.
As a group of demonstrators outside the minister's office chained themselves together in protest, the Israeli Defense Forces warned the plan could put the lives of remaining hostages at risk.
Israel does, in fact, run a huge risk by taking the military action that they've planned in order to end Hamas and save hostages. But what choice do they have?
I think with a combination of the right military tactics and international pressure, we can get all of them, and certainly most of them, out.
The plan is meeting with resistance from the United Kingdom, the British ambassador calling it a huge mistake. Some fear the Gaza takeover plan could spark a new wave of anti-Semitism. This Paris office of Israeli airline El Al was vandalized Thursday. And there's the ongoing battle over media coverage of Israel and the war. Netanyahu telling Fox News that he's looking into whether a country can sue the New York Times for this misleading front page article. It portrayed an emaciated child as evidence of starvation in Gaza, when he was actually ill from a medical condition. And there's this recent post showing video of Palestinians begging on the left and the same people in a car appearing to rehearse their roles on the right, as a member of the Palestinian press directs them as he drives. The Prime Minister says the public is catching on and the truth will win out in the end.
People will see the humanitarian surge. People will see our efforts to prevent civilian casualties.
In Jerusalem, Paul Petit, CBN News.
Coming up, revisionist history, minimizing the murder of 6 million Jews during the Holocaust.
America's largest teachers union has altered its 2025 Educator's Guide. It is no longer recommending that American children be taught that the Nazis killed 6 million Jews, but the union is advising teachers to say that, quote, Hitler and his accomplices exterminated minority groups. Gary Lane brings us the story on CBN's program, The Global Lane.
America's largest teachers union, which advocated for closing classrooms and masking students during the COVID pandemic, is now rewriting history. The National Education Association has altered its 2025 Teacher's Guide, erasing Jews from the Holocaust. Here to set us straight on this development is Gary Finkel. He's a Young Voices contributor, opinion writer, and PhD student at Texas A&M University. Gary, tell us more about the NEA erasing Jews from the Holocaust. So how can they consider themselves serious educators without teaching American children that the Nazis killed 6 million Jews? Who are they saying Hitler and his accomplices exterminated?
They're saying that Hitler and his accomplices exterminated minority groups without emphasizing the centrality of the Jews to the Holocaust. And what this really illustrates is that the National Education Association really isn't interested in education. It's a left-wing political arm that cares more about Palestine than phonics. It cares more about distinguishing anti-Zionism from anti-Semitism than it does making sure that our children are getting a quality education. And perhaps most importantly, it shows that politics are always going to be the flavor of the day and the interests of the more than 3 million American public school teachers who really aren't that concerned about any of this. They're more concerned about making sure that they teach math and their students aren't throwing chairs at them, are totally unheard of. So not only are they being anti-Semitic over at the NEA, they're being utterly ineffective at what they're even supposed to do, which is advocate for American teachers.
Well, also, the NEA guide revises history by stating that the state of Israel was founded through forced violent displacement and dispossession. Is there any mention of the San Remo Conference, the Balfour Declaration, Arab countries waging war against Israel in 1948?
There's no mention of it at all, because that would counteract the anti-Semitic narrative that they're trying to propagate. The issue for the teachers' unions when they look at actual history is that they find that it's messy. And if they really want to put the blame on somebody for Israel's existence, it would really have to be the British or the French, rather than the hundreds of thousands, millions of Jews that came to Israel in order to flee persecution from their neighbors, in order to flee genocide in the case of the Holocaust and in some of the attacks against Mizrahi Jews in the Middle East later in the century. But all of this messy history is unfitting for their unadulterated left-wing ideas, so they just pretend they don't exist.
Well, there are 3 million teachers in the NEA, so who's behind this revisionist history and why?
Well, the problem when it comes to teachers' unions is that they're so large, and in many states, even though membership isn't officially required, you run into problems if you're not a member. So the rank and file isn't really interested in this. All this is coming from a small segment of really, really, really passionate progressive radicals that take over these institutions in order to orient them towards their desired political direction. So ultimately, you're hearing from a very, very small fraction of American teachers, the vast majority of whom are normal. But because the radicals have taken control of the NEA, they get control of the money, they get control of the political influence, they get control of curriculum development in some cases, and that's why we're experiencing all these problems.
Sounds a little bit like the Democratic Party right now. And at a time when Columbia University settled with the Trump administration and its Jewish students for violating civil rights during recent pro-Hamas protests, the NEA membership voted to suspend ties with the Anti-Defamation League, and they said its union members felt they must support Palestine. Now, the NEA board and executive committee reversed that decision, and you recently wrote a published article about it. Is the NEA membership becoming anti-Semitic? Tell us more.
I think NEA leadership is certainly anti-Semitic, and they're taking the membership, a lot of whom don't really know what's going on in the union, along for the ride. But the reason that this is so destructive, even though it's a small fraction of American teachers, is because the Anti-Defamation League, for all of their political problems, was responsible for a lot of the really high quality Holocaust education that was making its way into American schools. And if the NEA is now positioning itself as being hostile to this form of really high quality Holocaust education, then they're in effect positioning themselves as being hostile towards Jews. And if the nation's largest teachers union at any rate, is going to position itself as being so antagonistic towards this country's Jewish community, that's going to be a real big problem, and one that we're going to need to address.
Gary, and quickly, so what should be done about it? Anything? I mean, this is the largest teachers union in the USA.
Well, the way to do this is to just neuter the union's power. My home state of Texas has teachers unions, but they're prevented by state law from engaging in collective bargaining. And I think other states are just going to have to take the initiative and be willing to go to war with the union in order to make sure that their students are protected from these far left political interests.
Okay, and maybe moving to charter schools, homeschooling, things like that. Garrison Finkel,
Absolutely.
Young Voices contributor, our best to you as you prepare your PhD thesis. Thanks for setting us straight today.
Thanks for having me.
When we come back, planting vineyards and drinking wine from them. How two brothers in the Judean desert are fulfilling a prophecy from the book of Amos.
As the war in Gaza captures headlines, there's another battle over land in the so-called occupied territories of Judea and Samaria, what much of the world considers the West Bank. CBN's Joshua Swanson explains why some in this region see their grapevines as a key weapon in their battle.
Just south of Jerusalem, in the biblical heartland of Judea, sits Tekoa, where the ancient prophet Amos lived and foretold that the mountains shall drip with wine.
Welcome to Tekoa. We are in Yoni and Gadi Afik's vineyard, answering the prophetic call of Amos to replant the vines in the hills of Judea. But modern-day Tekoa stands on the front lines of a very different kind of battle, a battle for the heart and soil of the land of Israel.
Agriculture and farms, trees and vineyards are the border. They are like the border between us and our neighbors.
If you're not planting, you're losing your ground.
Brothers Yoni and Gadi are strengthening Israel's frontiers one vine at a time.
Look around you. We are right in the border between the village Tekoa and the new vineyard.
The brothers believe that the biblical heartland of Judea and Samaria was given to Israel by God and to settle it by peacefully cultivating the land.
And everyday work here to guard and keep and watch our lands.
On October 7th, 2023, however, both brothers were called up to the IDF to defend Israel, trading pruning forks for rifles.
I got a call from my unit and they said, we need you. We didn't want it. We want to do agriculture.
During Gadi's 230-day military service, his wife Hava and their 5 children kept the frontline vineyards alive. She said, we were terrified and exhausted, but the children learned farming, living out what the prophet said. Israel's government recently approved a symbolic resolution to once again take control of Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley.
I am Mike Johnson. I'm the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the United States Congress. We are so blessed to be here at ancient Shiloh.
Speaker Johnson, the third highest U.S. ranking official, said the mountains of Judea and Samaria belong to the Jewish people, quote, by right. Families like the Erics are already laying the groundwork. Literally.
When we were new here, there were only a few caravans. We built in my house doing agriculture. We were able to help this place to develop, to grow bigger.
Driving through the hills, Yoni points to the desert planted with vines.
This is like the forefathers' land. This is the Bible land, and this is our valley. This is where we're planting most of our vineyards.
The next valley over from the Eric's vineyard lies Amos Valley, still bearing the name of the biblical prophet.
This is the original Amos Valley. If you go all the way east, you will meet in the Dead Sea. Amos' grave is over there. I'm touching a stone that maybe Amos the prophet was touching.
The brothers say they're partnering with prophecy. I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. They shall plant vineyards and drink wine from them. I will plant them in their land, and no longer shall they be pulled up from the land I have given them, says the Lord your God. Every vine they plant is more than agriculture. It's rooting Israel's future deep into the land.
It's a very deep and spiritual relation between the grapevine and people of Israel.
Our nation were divorced for 2,000 years. You can divorce from your land. You can divorce from your story. My grandfather and my grandmother was in Europe during the 40s.
The brothers' grandparents survived the Holocaust and came to the reborn state of Israel.
My best relationship is with the grounds, with the land.
Driving in posts, bringing water, enriching the soil, nurturing vines for 3 years until the 4th year and the first harvest.
It's exciting me when I holding the plants, see what's going on. It's like a baby. Everything is in the nature. God's do everything for us. The story is that vineyard is like, I believe in this land, I believe in the future, I believe in the next generations. During the war, a few teenagers planted a new vineyard, and we came back, we saw it, and we were very, very happy about it, to see it. We saw that the next generation is doing vineyards, and this is our vision.
This isn't just about reclaiming the desert and cultivating a vineyard. This is about reclaiming the land of Israel for future generations. Joshua Swanson in Tekoa for CBN News.
Still ahead, living together as brothers, a Jewish village existing peacefully among Muslim neighbors.
As one of the potential countries slated to join the Abraham Accords, Azerbaijan happens to be one of the few places outside of Israel where Jews live peacefully alongside Muslims. Our friend Hananya Naftali witnessed it with his own eyes and shared this story on social media. Take a look.
You are about to see, for the first time in your lives, a Jewish community you never heard of. That there's a Jewish village, a real Jewish village, inside a Muslim-majority country where Jews live freely, proudly, safely, and no one is trying to kill them? This is not Israel, it's not Brooklyn, it's not even Europe. It's Krasna Sloboda, the Red Village, the only old Jewish town outside Israel in the United States. And yes, it's in Azerbaijan. While in France, Jews are hiding their mezuzahs, while synagogues in America need armed guards, in this Muslim-majority country, Jews are thriving. And nobody's throwing rocks, nobody's burning flags, nobody's blaming Jews for everything. So who are these Jews? They're not Ashkenazi, not Sephardic, they're called Mountain Jews. And their story is wild. The Mountain Jews came to this region over 2,000 years ago. Some say they're descendants of Persian Jews. Others trace them all the way back to the Babylonian exile. Either way, here they found a safe haven. These people speak Jehuri, a Jewish dialect of Persian. They pray in Hebrew, their traditions are Jewish, but their culture? It's a mix of Jewish soul and Azeri spice. For centuries, they lived in the remote mountains of the Caucasus, surviving empires, resisting invaders, and keeping Shabbat on the mountaintops. Stalin tried to erase them. Anti-Semites came for them. But they held on. They always held on. In the 18th century, the Khan of Kuba, a Muslim ruler, gave them this land and said, "This is yours." And guess what? The Jews and Muslims did not go to war. They shook hands and they kept their word. That's why today, Krasnaya Sloboda, the Red Village, is the only all-Jewish village outside Israel. It has 2 synagogues, kosher butcher, Jewish schools, Jewish cemeteries, and not a single barbed wire fence. The secret? It's not complicated. Respect. Azerbaijan is one of the few Muslim-majority countries that actually protects its Jews. The government even restored the village's infrastructure. So I flew here to speak with the director of this school in this Red Village because he knows the answers that we all want to know. So this is what he told me. What does it mean to be a Jew here in Azerbaijan?
Azərbaycanda Yəhudi olmaq o deməkdir ki, Azərbaycanda yaşayan bütün xalqlarla yanaşı, biz burada özümüzü azad, bütün qanunlardan sərbəst şəkildə eyni bərabər səviyyədə iştirak edən və antisemitizmə məruz qalmayan bir insan olmaq deməkdir.
This is not a utopia, but it's a miracle, one that the media doesn't want to talk about because it destroys their narrative. Jews can't live peacefully in Muslim-majority countries? Wrong answer. Just come to the Red Village and see for yourselves. Meanwhile, in the West, anti-Israel activists hold genocidal signs who call for the destruction of the Jewish nation and call it free speech. Absolutely shameful. The Red Village is not just a village, it's a proof. It's a proof that it's not religion that divides us, but rather politics, hatred, and cowardice. And when you take that out of the equation, Jews and Muslims can be neighbors. So behind me is the Red Village, the only Jewish village outside Israel. And when you cross the river, you see here a Muslim village. So the next time someone tells you that Jews can't live in peace in Muslim majority countries, show them this village The Red Village in Azerbaijan is a wonderful example of coexistence and mutual respect.
That's something you seldom hear about. Jewish and Muslim communities living peacefully as neighbors. Well, if you had the power to help people in a practical way, what would you do? One woman dreamed of a stress-free shopping experience that would honor its customers who need food or clothing. And thanks to our generous partners, CBN Israel is working with the group to make it happen. Nicole Yansezian has the story.
In the heart of Tel Aviv, CBN Israel has partnered with a congregation that is serving the community by providing shelter during the war and running a store for groceries, clothes, and essentials free of charge for people in need.
And I'm here with Natasha Majuga, and we're on the premises of the International Christian Fellowship. You have an organization here, and you said this was your dream.
16 years ago, we moved with the small kids, 4 luggage bags, nothing else, no money. We moved to build a church for young generation, especially here in Tel Aviv. The kids are growing fast. You need to change clothes, in need of everything.
Natasha's personal journey fuels her current passion for helping those in need.
We actually have a lady, she's 82 and her husband is in a wheelchair. And she said, this is the only food she can get. It's here for free. It's why we always open and we have a nice music in the store. It smells good. We create the atmosphere of rest. People can come and just relax. We treat them with the coffee, with the tea, with some sweets. This is our mission, that the people in the crisis never felt that they value less, no matter how big the crisis in their life, that they are still precious in our eyes, in God's eyes. It was my crazy dream that I can come and do my shopping and pay zero money. Just experience that, and the people can experience who maybe have the same issue, the same situation.
This was your dream, and you've made it come true. What a selfless dream. It's amazing. I want to see your shop. I haven't seen it yet.
Let's go.
Okay.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Before this war, we covered 650 families. For just the last week, we have 50 more families. So it's just growing and growing. Sometimes people come and we don't have enough, and it's always break our hearts. So thank you so much for CBN that for now we have enough to give people, and especially now when the people in the line 3 hours before we open the store, CBN actually provide us to bring people help in such a time as this. It's stressful enough already, and we see how people desperate for this. It really help us be sure that we can cover people, and they won't be struggle, and they won't be hungry, or even more stressful that they have not enough for their families. So it's really a relief to us and a huge help.
Well, that's a wonderful story of CBN partners helping a ministry reach out to people in need in Tel Aviv. Well, that's all for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Thanks for joining us. And please keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and for God to thwart the plans of evil men, that His justice would come forth in Israel and the surrounding countries. And as always, that the hostages would survive and come home safely, and soon. I'm Chris Mitchell. For all of us here at the Jerusalem Bureau, we'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.
Alpha,